I'm Randy Moggins from offplanetradio.com, and this is going to be another healing session with White Wolf Von Atzigen. This is June 1st, 2012 that we're recording this. And for those of you who heard the last show, which was the first show, we went through some early history that White Wolf has brought out. And on this program, we're going to kind of go into the process that White Wolf has gone through in his healing path. So, White Wolf, welcome once again.
This evening. And I figure if we're going to really get into the healing aspect and my healing path, then we need to kind of start with where I began. And again, you know, the viewers, or the listeners, I should say, who are going to be listening to the show and trying to gain some insight onto their own healing path, I really think and feel from my experience that most people's healing paths begin at a very similar place. Even if the reason they're needing to heal is vastly different, how the healing path actually starts seems to come out of some pretty common ground. And I thought about that for a while. And in the beginning, I kind of thought that was odd. But the more I thought about it, the more I said, well, you know, that actually makes perfect sense because you know, as individual and unique as everybody's healing path is, it's based on the same principles. And that's what really makes a healing path work. It's got to be universal. And yes, you can tailor it to your own needs, but the process that we all have to go through involves the same steps, the same levels of our being. And so it's going to have very similar topics and I guess agenda progressions. And when I begin to talk about healing, and more specifically my healing path, many people think that I'll begin when I was poisoned in 2005. Mm-hmm. And, you know, sure, that was a horrific time frame, an event during my life, one of many, that certainly changed everything about my path. But, you know, that is actually far from where my healing began. I've had people ask me if it truly began when I started having bleed-throughs, when I started to get memories back, which was in, I think it was around 2003. And I tell them that no, it wasn't when my healing of this life began either. The very first aspect of my healing path actually began when I started receiving teachings from my childhood native teacher. And even though I was existing in a very altered state of mind and enduring very deep level traumas and programming, the teachings I was given at that stage in my life literally saved my life later on, and is, you know, a big part of why I'm still here today. So, interesting, because if I look at that, you know, those were lessons, those were pure teachings, you know, but really that was the start of my healing path. And the main... Go ahead.
Would you say that part of that is because you were basically being taught by your teacher to be a warrior, in the sense that you were learning to survive in almost any situation, and as any warrior knows, that entails a fair amount of physical risk, not just physical. I'm talking on every level. So basically, your earliest training was exposing you to what we would consider in the Western mind to be a risky lifestyle.
Yes, and actually, the only thing that I would clarify on that comment would be that I was being reminded that I was a warrior. Yeah. So, yeah, but you're exactly correct. It is a risky lifestyle, and it's one that those of us who walk choose, and so we have to. If we're going to be successful in it and find and fulfill our purposes in that type of lifestyle, then we need to be supplied with the proper tool sets, skill sets that will see us through, or at least give us the chance to do the best that we can. And so that's really where these teachings came into play. And the main reason these teachings were and still are so powerful in my life is due to the fact that they reinforced my connections to the environment, to the elements, and of course to the earth. Most people today have little in their lives to remind them and physically show them deeply their connection to such energies. And to me, this is a very sad thing, because, we are all made from the components of the earth. The earth is our physical home, and so we have an amazing connection to the earth itself. But because of the lifestyles that most people live and lead today, people forget that on many, many levels. So the lessons I learned were very physically oriented, but they tapped the depth of the mind, emotions, the psyche, and the spirit as well. And all were equal parts of the teachings. My teacher, Meechgalanne, would tell me that if any of these components were missing in the learning experience, it would be like removing a core element from life. Balance would be utterly lost. And from my memory, I truly feel the very first lesson I ever learned from my teacher was the essential aspect of grounding. It's much like lightning, actually. If it's grounded, it's harmless. But if it isn't grounded, it's unpredictable. It's uncontrollable and potentially dangerous because its energy is too intense for living creatures to handle. And without proper grounding abilities, the healing path is much like this. It's much like the lightning, as well as life itself in this physical existence. The energy of life is intense enough, but when we embark upon our healing path that will take us through the rest of our existence in this physical reality, we have to understand right off the bat that the healing path is it's intense, and it ebbs and flows. I mean, you have greater areas of intensity than others, so it's not intense 24/7 years on end. You do have breaks, you have plateaus, but make no mistake, once you start your healing path, that's it. The intensity is there, and it has to become your lifestyle. And so you need an extremely powerful grounding ability and skill set to help you attain that, to have any hope of going the distance with your healing path.
Would you say, White Wolf, that even before that initial understanding of grounding and the energetic flow, that you have to be aware of the energies themselves. And I think maybe, given your training, you're probably aware of that at an almost instinctual level. But I don't think a lot of people realize what that means in terms of grounding energies, because most people do not think of themselves in terms of being an energetic being.
Yeah, you're correct. I think a lot more people are definitely waking up to that, though. I have been meeting a vast number of people who are really starting to tap into that reality. But you're correct. I also meet a ton of people who really have no clue of what they are, what they're made of, the energies around them. But yes, each element has a very specific energy. You can call it frequency, resonation, sound. It's all the same thing. But each one has a very unique resonance. And our bodies are made up of every element. And therefore, these frequencies exist within our body, along with the frequencies of our thought patterns, our emotions, our genetic line, our spirit itself, programming, all this stuff. All these combine to make our personal and unique frequency. So being that every element is within our bodies, making up every part of our body, then the frequency of these elements has to also exist within us. And since the elements are vibrating at a frequency around us in life, the fire, the water, the earth, and the air, then the frequencies within us that are the same, we can learn to open up, and we can learn to connect with the external elements in order to enhance the internal elements and the functions they have within our body, and in our minds, in our thought processes, and in our emotions. Because when you're talking about frequency, frequency has no physical boundaries. It passes right through the physical into the non-physical, and therefore it directly affects our thought processes as well as the very bones of our physical structure. Now, all of my lessons with my teacher took place outdoors, in the wilderness, and I was always on the earth when learning. Well, sometimes I was in a tree or in the water, but the point is that I wasn't separated from the earth by concrete, asphalt, rubber-soled shoes, multi-level buildings held up by metal beams. I remember clearly sitting round a fire, wandering through the mountains, standing in fast-running waters of spring-fed streams, while my teacher would tell me that we are like water. He would remind me that the trees and the rocks are literally rooted in the mountains. Plants are rooted in the soil, and thus have deep roots and grounding. We, however, have no roots of this earth. And so grounding, for most, is very difficult. But it's essential for everyone. Without grounding abilities, we are swept away, like water and air. Our lives become difficult to navigate without roots, without grounding. And this is vital to understand before you start your healing work. If you've already started a healing path, that's fine. I'm going to, a little bit later, get into some specific grounding techniques that you can utilize on a daily basis. Because we literally wander the surface of the earth. We ride in cars and buses and trains. We fly through the air in planes, helicopters, hot air balloons, hang gliders. All right. we don't have earthly roots. We are continually moving around. We're not like the plant relations. Even the boulders, the very boulders of the earth, are rooted in the mountains. They are the foundation of the earth itself. They are grounded. So for anyone seeking deep self-healing work, they must begin with grounding. And when delving deeply into the labyrinth of the body, the mind, and spirit, it becomes all too easy to get swept away through distractions, self-sabotage, programming issues, the effects of non-beneficial mind patterns, among many other energies. Now, my teacher would always tell me that I must ground myself every day and night by using earth energy and the feel of the earth element. And we'll get into that in a few minutes. And now he wasn't talking about the actual touch kind of feel, but rather the sound or frequency of the earth element. See, if we visualize the earth element energy, it resonates in the many shades of brown. The most beneficial hue of brown to work with is a neutral one, as opposed to one heavily influenced by extra color like the yellows, reds, and blues. Nor is it good to use browns changed by whites to make tans or blacks to create a darkness within the hue. Okay, we're talking about a good, neutral, solid brown. So if you were to go to a artist's color wheel or something like that, you know, there's always a central color brown, and that is the neutral brown. That is the resonance that the earth frequency vibrates at. Now, the important thing to remember when using earth energy to ground is that the earth is made up of many different things. And they include things beneficial as well as toxic, naturally existing as well as human-created and enhanced. So when using the earth energy, we need to make sure that we use only beneficial earth energies. We don't want to use the toxins and all the artificial stuff that's been dumped into the earth. And an important thing to remember is that all programming and mind control works upon the premises of dissociation. And this requires the subject to remain in serious states of ungrounding. Deeply programmed and highly mind-controlled individuals have absolutely terrible grounding abilities. Of course, you know, when you, I guess you could say, you know, this work can be remedied. Okay, with this work, that the grounding work and the self-healing work that I'm going to be presenting, you know, this challenge can definitely be remedied. But with many, it's a constant work. Okay, you have to be very diligent, and you have to be patient, and it has to be a daily practice. Mm-hmm. Personally, mind grounding is always a challenge. I've had horrible grounding throughout my life. And of course, this is one small reason that I do the type of work that I do, working with the elements in the outdoors, in the wilderness. See, this style of work is a way of life, and being in close contact with the earth and other elements daily greatly assists me with my grounding. If you look at people and the jobs they have, most of the people who are really tapped into, either consciously or subconsciously, what they need, you can find that reflected through their job. Now, I'm not talking about people who are doing something they don't like. I'm talking about people who are doing a job that they do like, that they chose. So a lot of people who are working on the earth, with the earth, landscaping and things like that, these are people who know that they need grounding. And they need extra help with their grounding, because visualization isn't quite enough. This, of course, is why the powers that be work so efficiently at keeping people in states of distraction, and thus ungrounded states of being. Because ungrounded, distracted people are far easier to control and manipulate. Now, a grounding exercise that I was taught as a child by my teacher has worked very well for me throughout my life. And I'm going to run through it here. It's a simple, but remember, simple works because it's not unnecessarily complicated. A lot of people out there today are throwing out these really long, complicated, intense meditations and visualizations. And these things, first of all, the people who are in great need of visualizations and meditations for self-healing, they have a problem maintaining focus for long periods of time because of the internal sabotage, because of the self-sabotage, because of the program issues, because of the trauma that they're trying to work through. So you get lost very easily when you're trying to go through these long, detailed, complicated visualizations and meditations. All right. I mean, my philosophy is keep it simple, keep it pure, and it will work. I have seen this time and time again. When you start complicating things, you start running into problems because there's a whole lot more that can go wrong.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So let's see. I'm going to run through this for the listeners, and I'm going to actually run through this as a guided visualization here. So I want everybody to, right now, if you're in a comfortable place, I want you to close your eyes, and I want you to relax. I want you to focus on your body. I want you to focus on how it feels. I want you to focus on the weight of your body, where it connects to the floor or the chair. And I want you to start breathing deeply through your nose. I want you to feel the air flowing in your nostrils, and I want you to feel it flowing down your spine, all the way to the base of your spine, where the air spirals and then moves back up your spine and exhales out your mouth. I want you to do this breath 3 times. In through the nose, down the spine, spirals at the base, returning up the spine, exhaling out the mouth. Again, in through the nose, down the spine to the base, where it spirals, returns back up the spine, exhales out the mouth. One more time, in through the nose, down the spine, all the way to the base, where it spirals, returns back up the spine, and exhales out the mouth. And I want you to visualize yourself now standing upon the warm, brown soil of the earth, barefoot. I want you to feel the grains of soil beneath your feet, the uneven ground, the warmth of the earth on a sunny day, and how the soles of your feet adjust to fit the contour of the land. I want you to feel the weight of your body pressing down through the soles of your feet onto the earth. Feel the solidity of the land beneath your feet, unmoving, strong, sure, solid. Now visualize a pure violet sheet or shield, whatever thin but solid object you wish, in the color violet, between your feet and the soil of the earth. Visualize yourself standing on that violet object. This is the filter that will allow only beneficial energies from the earth to flow into you. Focus on the brown at first, flowing up through the violet object from the earth. You can see the brown turn to soil of whatever kind you wish. Silt, loam, sand, clay. Nice, rich soil, brown in color. I want you to feel it. Feel its quality as it flows upward into your feet. Rising up through your ankles and into your lower legs, filling your shins and your calves with rich brown soil from the earth. Feel this earth energy move ever higher through your knees and your thighs, rising up your thighs until it reaches its peak at the tops of your thighs. Your hands now also begin to fill with the same rich brown earth energy. Your fingers, the back of your hands, your palms. You feel the weight and consistency of the earth in your feet, in your ankles, in your knees, in your legs, and in your hands. Breathe with it. Feel it. Solid and sure. The earth within you. You within the earth. As one. Solid. Heavy. Connected. Grounded. If you wish to go deeper into the grounding, you want to visualize the brown earth energy continuing to fill your feet, legs, and hands so much that it begins to overflow out every single pore of your skin, like sand pouring through a sieve. and surrounding your legs, like you are standing in an earthen barrel. The bones of your legs and feet begin to grow downward through the violet object. They penetrate the earth. Like roots of a potted plant growing out through the bottom of the pot itself. Feel your solid earthen roots push and reach deeper and deeper into the earth, wrapping around the heavy boulders that are the very foundations of the land. You are one with the earth, the rock, the stone, the soil, the root of your being, the root of your physical existence. There is no separation. No wind can blow you. No storm can knock you over. You are connected to the foundations of the earth you stand upon. Stay here for as long as you wish. Feel it. Breathe it. Solid. Grounding. And when you are ready to return to your present state of consciousness, place yourself in a brown sphere so that you are standing in the center of a brown bubble or circle. Place a royal blue circle between your eyes. Center a royal blue dot in that circle. Visualize and feel that circle sinking into your head until it stops in the center of your brain by your pineal gland, right between your ears. Breathe in through your nose one more time. Down your spine to the base where it spirals, returning back up and exhaling out the mouth. Open your eyes and stretch.
That was amazing.
I hope nobody fell asleep.
No, but when I opened my eyes, everything seemed more vibrant.
Mm-hmm. Well, one, because you're grounded. Two, because you were utilizing your brain to be aware of your body. And so you're making a connection between the two. And three, you're concentrating and focusing on nice deep breaths, which helps to invigorate the body, oxygenate the body, as well as balance the brain, And the royal blue circle with the dot is actually a visualization of the pineal gland, which is an endocrine gland that sits at the center of your brain, which is a hugely important gland of the body. And its frequency resonance is the color royal blue, and so centering the dot helps to balance that, and then you're balancing the pineal gland, which helps to balance both sides of the brain. So that little meditation there, that little visualization, covers quite a bit. Really helps to balance the body out and get you focused, as well as the main point of it, which is grounding. This is a visualization you can do whenever you want to, as many times a day or night as you want to. I would recommend, strongly suggest, that you do this at least twice a day. When you get up in the morning, as soon as you stand up out of bed, and if you have to go to the bathroom first, that's fine. But as soon as you have a moment, as soon as you get out of bed, in a standing position, do this visualization. Start your day off with it. And then before you go to bed at night, before you lie down, when you're standing at the edge of your bed, do this visualization again. These are like the two baseline times of the day that you should be doing a very powerful grounding visualization. I would strongly suggest that you do this throughout the day as well, because depending on your work, whether that be your financial job or whether that be your self-healing work, you're going to need your grounding, and you're going to find out how easily you become ungrounded and distracted throughout your daily existence once you start focusing on it. So utilize grounding techniques as much as you feel you need to, and especially during the intense times of your healing, the more the better. You can't overdo it. The only thing that I would throw out there is that if you happen to be an earth element person, and that means you have to know that what your core element is, but if you do, and you are an earth element person, or you're just a very stagnant, sluggish, low energy person, you are the type of person, the only type of person, who wants to utilize heavy grounding techniques minimally, because they will further add to your low energy states, your stagnant, flow through life or not flow through life, however you want to look at it. In other words, you have too much grounding. What you need is some other element energy mixed in to get you moving, wake you up, invigorate your system, and move you along a more beneficial path.
Let me ask you a question at this point. How does a person know what their element is?
Well, that's definitely something I teach here. I actually have a whole workshop on it, because it's there are some complexities involved with finding that out. Some of the very basic things that you can look at, first of all, very basic. What elements are you most attracted to?
Right. What I guess I meant, White Wolf, was we're not talking astrological here, strictly speaking. It may coincide, but it's not the astrological elements.
Right. Yeah, we're talking about your actual physical element. Okay, we all have the elements in us, all four of them. However, each one of us resonates with one element more so than another element, which gives us our body type, gives us our energy style, even has to do a lot with our personalities, thought processes. Our element has to do with a whole lot. Even the types of diseases we might be prone to, or physical challenges we might be prone to, a lot of this can be traced back to the element and the energy of the element. It's quite a vast topic. And some people say, well, what about the Chinese elements? You say, well, they don't have air. Instead, they have wood and metal. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And yes, wood and metal are definitely energies. Everything's an energy. But the reason I don't include wood and metal as an element, and I fall back upon the traditional native elements of this land, is because wood actually is a combination. It grows out of other elements. It's not actually an element itself. If you didn't have air, if you didn't have earth, if you didn't have water, and you didn't have fire, you could not have wood. So wood actually is a product of the other four elements. Metal is a singular component that has its own family, I guess you could say, within the earth element.
Right, yeah.
And so it's not actually the earth element. It's a single facet within the earth element. It is actually a refinement of earth. And that is what metal is. It's a refinement of earth energy. But it does not encompass the entirety of what the earth element is all about. So, again, that is why I focus on the four elements, and it is a physical element I'm talking about. Yes, you also have a spiritual element, and in a lot of people, they coincide. They're exactly the same. In other people, they are completely different. And yes, there are some people out there who have a mixture of elements. In other words, they don't just resonate with water. They might resonate equally with water and air. Okay, and so then you get into the sub-elements, which of course would be mist in this case. So it can be a rather detailed process in figuring out exactly what your element is. But again, basically, you can look at what element you are most attracted to, how that element makes you feel. If you're attracted to fire, and it winds you up, it dries you out, it wears you out at the end of the day, you're attracted to it for non-beneficial reasons, and that is not your core element. But if you're attracted to earth, and it helps to stabilize you, it helps to give you strength, it helps to keep you healthy, it helps to give you energy, then yes, this would definitely be an element to really look into more. If you are a highly emotional person, actually let's get back to earth. If you're a very creative person with your hands, you like to build, you like to work with your hands, you like to work in the soil, work with wood, build with rock. Okay, these are definite signs of an earth person. Very creative with their hands. However, earth people are not very... They don't have a lot of spunk. They're definitely not the life of the party, so to speak. Rather quiet, rather reserved. Water element people are very emotional. They live their entire life through emotion rather than aligning more powerfully with thought, logistics. They're the type of people that can be laughing 1 minute and crying the next minute. They don't hold anything back. Their body types usually very watery, pale complexions. They have a tendency to hold a lot of water weight, whereas earth people have a tendency to be stocky, rather heavy, dense bones. Air people, very thin. Very, very thin, very drawn, very mental, extremely, not mental is crazy, but extremely intelligent. Very, very intelligent. They live their entire life in their mind. They do very, very little body work. They're not the sports-oriented person. They're not the weightlifter. They're not to get out there and ski or garden. They're the type of person that they're a think tank. And fire is creative, is very spontaneous, moves all over the place. Not very large people, thin but extremely strong, very sinewy, very intense. But it comes and goes. Fire people don't hold grudges. They're the type of people who will blow up and then be smiling and shaking your hand the next minute. Very unpredictable. So, just very basically, those are kind of an introduction into elements and maybe where you can look at to maybe start discovering your own element. Another aspect of grounding that you can utilize in your daily life is wearing hues of brown. Brown shirts, brown pants, brown socks, brown shoes, brown coats. All right? Surrounding yourself with this frequency also helps to bring grounding energy into your life. Eating diets that are very heavy in grains, root vegetables, carrots and beets and turnips and potatoes, things like that, and meats also help to ground you. These all are very heavy, dense energy foods that help to really solidify the grounding energy in your body, help it to move downward energetically in your body. Whereas things that are very spicy and pungent, ginger, cayenne pepper, things like this, onions, these have a rising energy that actually work against your grounding. They help to bring the energy up in your body and out of your body. So if you're really trying to ground, if you've done a lot of self-healing work today, you really want to focus on eating a lot of good, heavy grounding foods. Working physically with your body, walking, getting your feet on the earth outside of the suffocating confinement of shoes, working with your hands, working with rock, working with wood, working with soil, working with plants. These are all things that help to ground you. Walking on the surface of the earth barefoot helps to ground you. Your feet have an amazing amount of nerve endings. They are alive. They are breathing. Stuffed in shoes all day long, they literally suffocate, and it is horrible for your health. This is one of the reasons that so many people get sick so often, because their feet cannot breathe and they have no grounding. So get your feet out of your shoes. Let them breathe. The earth will massage them and invigorate the nervous system, the circulatory system in the entire body. All right? The old practice of taking a garlic clove and rubbing it on the bottom of your foot, waiting a few minutes, and then tasting it in your mouth, that should show you how powerful the soles of your feet are, how absorbent they are. Massaging your feet also helps to ground you. Massage your feet every night before you go to bed, before you work out, or even before you go for a long walk. I massage my feet infallibly every night before I go to bed. If you want to use oil, use oil. If you want to use just your bare hands, use your bare hands. It doesn't matter. But utilize your foot for what it is. Utilize those nerve endings. Utilize the beginnings and the endings of all the meridians in your body. Well, most of the meridians of your body, the 12 meridians in your body, a lot of them, not all of them, either start or end in your feet. So massaging your feet is huge. And all of this helps to ground you. And if you are going to embark upon your healing path with any kind of success, you need the power of grounding. You need to tap into and connect with the earth element in your body and reflecting and rebounding that energy off of the earth itself. If you're a person who works inside a building all day on concrete, if you're a person who works in a high-rise building, if you're a person who lives on the second, third, 25th floor of a building, if you're a person who lives in an area where they get a lot of earthquakes, you're going to have grounding issues. You are going to need to do more grounding exercises than people who work outside, people who work on or live on ground floors, people who walk outside a lot, people who live in very stable landscapes. Now, there's always exceptions to the rule, but nonetheless, this is something to look at. Where do you live? How do you live? Where is your grounding? What is your physical activity like? What are you eating? Pay attention to these things as you're working on your self-healing. Because many times what I've been finding is that this simple act of grounding can make or break your success in healing traumatic issues. I don't care what traumatic issues you're healing from. I don't care how horrible they were or how mild they might be. It doesn't matter. Trauma is trauma. And you need the solidity of grounding to be successful. That's where you're going to gain your strength. And that is why I wanted to start off the actual techniques, the healing techniques that I've utilized with a grounding. Because in my experience and my observations, it's vital through and through. How much grounding you get every day, Randy?
Not enough.
Uh-huh.
But I was sitting here thinking about it, and there were some things that I instinctually do. And some of it is going outside, taking shoes off, walking. Sometimes I take my dog out and walk that way. Or and the other thing was the foot massage. I've been working with massaging my feet with an oil that has magnesium in it and salt from the Dead Sea.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been doing that before I sleep every night, and that's really helped a lot in terms of just calming me down and making my sleep time, my dream time, I think a lot more restful and productive. Excellent.
Yeah, and you know what? Along with that, rub your kidneys before you get into bed too. With the usually what works best is the back of your wrists. Just put them there by the kidneys and rub in a circular pattern. You know, just do that for a few minutes before you get in bed. Boy, that does wonders as well.
But as I was sitting here and going through that, the exercise that you did, and what we're going to do with that, I'm going to take that audio and I'm going to rip that as a separate audio for anybody that wants it when I put the show up, because that by itself is a standalone. That was an extremely powerful I call it a meditation. In terms of going through the visualization, and you can feel it by the time I got through that exercise with you. That last breath was really intense. I could see that spiral, and I could feel that energy coming back up the spine as I was exhaling.
Excellent. And if you want to add a little bit extra to that, when you inhale, visualize the air coming in being medium green. Visualize the air going out being gray. Because medium green is the frequency of oxygenation. And gray is the old